Christopher Mendez writes, my name is Christopher and just wanted to say first, great show. I'm hooked ever since I became a subscriber.
Awesome. Thanks, Christopher.
I saw Man of Steel twice and thought it was awesome. I know this may be very early to speculate, but since a sequel has already been greenlit, where do we go from here as far as do you think it is too early to bring in Lex Luthor, or do we go for it since in the movie his existence is already alluded to?
I think you absolutely go to Lex Luthor next. I think that makes the most sense. Now, some people will say Brainiac, some people... I think that's bigger and grander. If you want to bring more alien stuff into it, save that for another film. I think now it's time just to get terrestrial. Let's focus on Earth, and let's see what happens there. And it is time to bring in Lex Luthor. He is the quintessential foil to Superman. I was totally fine with the fact that they didn't use him in the original, in the first Man of Steel film. Totally cool with that. But now you need to bring him in. It's time for that. Now, how can he, pardon me, play the foil? Well, we know from the video game world and the comics, whatever, Lex Luthor develops this suit of armor, this battle armor. I can't remember what he calls it. That he can actually go toe-to-toe and fight Superman in. So how does he do something like that? Well, listen, if you've seen Man of Steel, and this isn't a spoiler by any stretch of imagination, because you see in the trailers there's lots of Kryptonian and alien ships on Earth. You know what? Those Kryptonian ships were able to do some damage to Superman. And following the events of Man of Steel, there's a lot of Kryptonian technology laying around now, especially around Metropolis. And, you know, one of the big industrial billionaires, Lex Luthor, can come just in and get his company, take that, start developing crap around the wreckage. I think you've got a storyline there. David Goyer, give me a call if you haven't started writing that already. But I think it makes a lot of sense for Lex Luthor to at least be introduced, maybe not make him the main villain, maybe not, but at least bring him into it. I think it has potential. So that's the way I would personally go about it if I was directing it. Oddly enough, I'm not. But that's how I would do it. Dennis, how would you do it?
Yeah, I definitely would bring him into it, either as the main villain or at least someone that they're showing that's going to be a villain in a future Man of Steel movie. And definitely, I think they have to tie in some sort of the kryptonite aspect, however they're going to take kryptonite, because it wasn't really introduced in Man of Steel. So I think that's going to have to play into how he's going to be able to fight Superman. Because, you know, just as a person, even if he's like a smart businessman, he's not going to go toe-to-toe with Superman. So something like the suit that you're talking about, combined with kryptonite, I think that's really the only way to have him as the main villain. I think
one of the readers brought up a really interesting point to me, and I'm sorry I can't remember the name of the person who did, but they can say, you know, you could even introduce Lex Luthor and a Bruce Wayne at the same time, because they're both big industrial billionaires who probably travel in the same circles to some degree, one on one side, one on the other. So it may open up the door for that as well, possibly.
Yeah.
And you have to think they're going to when you saw the Lex Corp on the side of the tanker right before it blew up. It's like they're putting the name there. You have to think they're going to.
And the Wayne logo on the satellite in space. I mean, they've opened the doors.